Hey guys, it's Rebecca Elijah, but you family, so you can call me Becky. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. So yeah, as you can see by the title of the video, we're gonna get into the part 2 of the question and answers. So I went ahead and posted on my social media, and I just allowed you guys to ask me anything. And I got quite a few questions, but I really wanted to make sure that I got to everyone's questions. So this video is gonna be a little longer than usual. And also each answer is gonna be very personalized to the person that asked the question. So I hope you get something from it, and let's get started. Okay, so jumping right in. The first question is, well, it's not really a question. How are you? I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling grateful. I feel like, because of everything that's been going on, it's easy for people to feel very up and down, roller coaster effect. I feel like life has just been very interesting, to say the least. But with the deaths and everything that's happening, it puts everything into perspective. And I am truly grateful to be alive, because to be alive means that we have an opportunity and a chance to actually live, to actually bring about change, to influence, to be present, to create more experiences, and that's not something that I'm taking for granted, because we do have the understanding that life is short, but what you do with life and how you choose to view life will dictate how you actually experience life. So it's been a sad time in the world, but I'm feeling grateful. Grateful that I'm here. Grateful that I can still be used by God, and grateful that I get to have these moments and experiences with my family and friends. So yeah. Thank you for asking. Again, next question. It says, I feel like I sabotage every friendship/relationship that I get into, and I don't know why. Okay. More specifically for you, it's fear and a need for control. Sometimes with previous relationships or friendships that we get into, it changes the way we view what a relationship should be like, or what a friendship should be like. It seems like you've experienced so much hurt and pain in past relationships and in friendships that when it comes to future friendships or potential relationships, because you have that fear of not wanting it to go south, you tend to kind of do things to cut it off before it actually happens, or before you actually see it manifest. It's kind of like a fear of not wanting it to go wrong, or a fear of not wanting to get attached, so you just cut it off before it even starts. I want you to do this. I want you to write down everything that scares you, everything that makes you feel fearful about getting into a relationship, or creating a new friendship, and truly assess why. In order for us to be successful in new locations and new endeavors, we have to go back to the previous locations of pain. Pain has a location. Sometimes you have to go back and look at that thing and realize, make that thing that you made a giant into an ant and crush it, in order for you to truly be successful and truly enjoy what's to come. I don't know if that makes any sense, but more specifically for you, you need to let go of the hurt and the pain and the fear of rejection that you've experienced in past relationships, because that's what's keeping you from getting into the new. So the only way for you to do that is for you to let down your guard and be real with yourself. Write down those things that make you fearful. And once you do that, and once you take time to assess and realize where the location of that thing comes from, work on that. Work on changing your view, and realizing that just because it happened during that specific time doesn't mean that it's gonna happen again. Okay? And also self-love. I know that it sounds cliche. I feel like I say it all the time, but it's the most. If people really understood the power of self-love, because when you are so secure in yourself, you don't have to worry about having attachment problems. You don't have to worry about possibly losing something, because if you do, okay, yeah, it'll be painful for a moment, but in the long run, you didn't really lose yourself. You still remained your home. You didn't make someone else your home. So that way, if you leave a relationship, or you leave a friendship, or you're called out of it, or you're elevated, if it was just seasonal, you don't have to worry about packing up luggage and leaving someone's home when you are your home yourself. That's what loving yourself does. It makes you your own home. It makes you your owner of your emotions, your feelings. It makes it so that you're able to come back to a place of being sound, especially for you, because another thing is you've experienced a lot of okay, this person's here for 2 years and then they're gone. This person's here for 3 years and then they're gone. It was very seasonal. And it's hard for you to get too close to people because you're tired of the seasonal. But God is going to send you to a place where you establish and you create permanent friendships, or friendships that will last a lifetime. That time is coming, but don't push those people away before they come. Don't push them away. So I want you to focus on renewing your mind, renewing how you view friendships, renewing how you view relationships, and renewing how you view yourself. So that when those things come, you're ready for it and you can receive the fullness of it and you can truly enjoy it without holding on to fear or without sabotaging it. Okay? I hope that gave you your answer. Next question says, I'm angry at life and I don't know what to do. I understand. It's understandable why you could be angry, especially with everything that's happened in the world this year. It's understandable, but for you're using anger as a defense mechanism. Sometimes we use anger as a defense mechanism, where we use anger to cover up how we truly feel because it feels good to be angry. That's something where you feel like you're in control, but that anger is actually not. That anger is actually you being out of control, because it feels like you need to hold on to that thing. When you feel like you need to hold on to something in order for you to feel stable, in order for you to feel sound, that means that thing has control over you and you don't have control over your emotions. Story, this is like, don't judge me. This is like 5 or 6 years ago. There was a time where I was just going through so much and I felt like I just hit my wit's end. I was like, look, like I've had it, So I called up my friend and I said, look, I'm coming over, get the movie, get the ice cream. I'm ready to just have a vent session, cry a few tears, boom, we gonna be good. So I was trying to find this building because she lived in a new apartment complex. So the way the house was structured, or the way the building was structured, you literally have to get out of your car and walk almost like 1.5 miles to get to where she is. So your girl was lost, and on top of that, it was raining. So I was just, because I've had it, I felt like I hit my wit's end, and it was raining, and I was brand new unit, just like, I was like, are you kidding me? What's happening? I was upset, but I was like, it's okay, Becky. We gonna get to her place and then we just gonna pop in that movie. We gonna cry a little bit and things will be great, So this guy walks up to me and was like, are you lost? And I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to find this. And before I can even finish my statement, this other girl walks up and was like, is this the bee you messing with? And I was like, where? And I was like, oh, wait, me? No, I'm just trying to find. Before I finished my statement, she starts saying, fine, if you want to mess with this girl, have her. Spits on my chest. I mean, like hawks a loogie right on my, just right here, right on my chest. So I'm just staring at my chest like, when I tell you in that moment, I searched all over. I could not find kind Becky. I looked high and low, and I still could not find kind Becky. I've never seen red before, but the way I literally, whatever I had in my artillery belt, I said, boom, like jab, cross, whatever it was. I just saw red, and I was just throwing hands. Man, when I was younger, I was known for being a little hot-headed in terms of getting into physical altercations, but never to this extent, you know. And so the guy had to pull me off of her, and my friend came down, and she was like, Becky, oh my gosh, are you okay? What happened? And she said, do you want to come in? Do you want to, like, I have the movie set up? And I was like, no, I'm good. I ain't gonna talk no more. I'm fine. And in that moment, the anger felt so good. It felt delicious. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stay right here. Man, I started playing Waka Flocka on the way home. I was like, yeah, I'm rolling to this. I felt like a bad little shawty, a hood little shawty. And because I didn't want to deal with what was initially wrong with me, I kept holding on to that. That whole week, I must have gotten into 3 fights, like physical fights. Don't worry, God has delivered your girl, okay? We better now. We different. But I remember, because in that time, I knew I needed to let go, but I didn't want to let go because I was afraid of what would come out if I let go of that feeling, if I let go of that anger, you know? So it felt like the anger was the cap, the thing that was keeping me from popping off, literally. But sometimes you need to pop off and just let those other emotions come out. What ended up happening was my friend at the time, because UNR, like, if you know Reno, like, it's really hard to find a good place to like have church there. We ended up researching a place to go to church, and it was like maybe like an hour and a half away. We went all the way there, and I should have known, just knowing the way my life is set up. And God was steady trying to talk to me, but I wasn't trying to listen. I was like, go ahead. No, I can't hear anything. No. I just didn't want to listen because I wanted to be angry. I didn't want to surrender that thing. I didn't want to surrender because I was like, look, I don't have answers to this question. I don't have answers to this. So I'm going to hold on to this because this feels good. At least I have control of this. At least I know the outcome of what I have now, you know? Went to the church, and literally in the middle of service, the pastor was like, hey, you, young lady. And I was like, what, me? He said, yeah, come up. I was shook. I already knew I was in trouble. I knew. He said, come here. He said, don't face the congregation. Look at me. Look at me. I was like, yes, pastor. He said, you fighting? I said, just a little bit. He said, stop. And I said, okay. So went back to my seat, and I was just a wreck. As soon as I got in the car with my friend, she was like, yeah, Becky, this isn't you. You've been fighting 24/7. You've been really angry. Like, you're just ready to pop off all the time. And I knew I had to lay that thing down there because I didn't, even though I was aware of how good the anger felt, I wasn't aware of how much it had controlled my life. So as soon as I let go of that anger, all the emotions that I was worried about came out under it. And I needed to release that. I had to let that go. Those emotions that I was afraid of feeling was nothing in comparison to the anger that I was using to control those feelings that I was trying to mask, you know? So I say all of that to say, you need to let go of the anger and deal with what you're actually feeling. You need to let it go. You need to surrender it. Because as soon as you surrender it, as soon as you let it out, you know, especially because of how this year was set up, how it really affected you. As soon as you let those emotions out, let yourself, because the thing is, you try to look strong for everyone. But when you're trying to look strong for everyone, the way you control your emotions is by presenting anger. Like, you should know better. Why are they doing this? Why are you doing that? You know, but you're deflecting. You're hiding. Let go of that pain. Let go of that anger, and the solutions, the answers that you're looking for you'll be able to hear, because sometimes we can't hear or perceive or really feel or understand what we need to see. We can't see what we need to see if we're blinded by anger. You can't see what you need to see if you're blinded, and that's what your emotions are doing to you. They're blinding you. So just give yourself a moment to release it and let it go. Let it go. I know it's easier said than done, and you're really holding on to it like this. You need to release your grip. I promise you, as soon as you let go, things are going to turn around. It's just that release. That release, you're going to have that good sleep. Once you get that good sleep, you're going to wake up, but then it's like, man, like, today's okay. That's not to say that you won't have some bad days, but it will be so much better than what you're experiencing now with that anger. And I also want you to journal. If you have no one to talk to, journal. Write it all out. Write out how you're feeling. Write it all out. Write out your concerns. And take it to God too. Literally take it to God. Write it all out and be like, okay, Lord, look, I need you to meet me where I am, because this is really what's bothering me. This is what I need answers to. And he will meet you where you're at. God will always meet you where you're at, okay? But yeah, things are going to turn around for you. But you need to want to release. You need to want to let go of that anger. You're angry at life, and you say you're angry at life and you don't know why, or you're staying angry at life because you don't have a desire to let go of that anger. As soon as you have a desire to let go of that anger, it will actually leave you. It will leave you. Better days are ahead of you. You just have to trust that and know that. And if you don't believe that, know that I know for you. Let go of the anger. Besides trust, what do you think you need to make a relationship work? Okay, this can be a whole video by itself. I would say an understanding. You need to have an understanding of a common understanding of what you guys want in the relationship, and what you need in the relationship, what you want to see come out of the relationship, and an understanding of the person. With an understanding, there needs to be comfortability. You need to be comfortable with your partner. If you can't sit in a room in silence and still feel peace and know that silence is okay, then that's not it. No. There needs to be love. But it needs to be love beyond romantic love. Romantic love should just be a small part. I mean, of course it's important, but it's not the foundation of your relationship. There needs to be love, but it needs to extend past romantic love. You need to be equally yoked. And when I say equally yoked, it's more than just spirituality. Spirituality is the main thing, okay? But spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, with your business plans, you guys need to be on an equal playing field, be equally yoked, because it just makes things easier. Of course, there needs to be connection, and there needs to be a sense of, there needs to be joy. There needs to be joy and laughter. Because to be honest, you can go into your everyday, going into the world. You go into the world, you have to present a certain image, you have to behave a certain way, you have to do certain things. But when you get back from that, or when you go back to your person, you want to be able to be free. You want to be yourself. You want to feel like you can just breathe, you laugh and enjoy. So yeah, let there be joy and laughter. It's almost as if it's like, man, let me tell you about this day. It was tough, but you get to laugh about it. You get to be with someone who understands you, who appreciates you. So yeah, those are like a few things I feel like I can go into. Like, it could be a whole video. I can't really go into it as much as I would like to right now, but those are a few other things besides trust that you need in order to make a relationship work. Next question. What are your thoughts on secular music as a Christian? Look, let me tell you, music was created by God. Like, God created music. He didn't just create the genre of Christian music. He didn't just create the genre of gospel music. God created all music. So don't let anyone sectionalize you. Don't let anyone compartmentalize the type of music that you listen to. Do you know how much power music has? And just the rhythm and the beats, whether it be R&B, whether it be hip-hop, whether it be rock, whether it be country, whatever it is that you, reggae, oh my God, whatever it is that you want to listen to, whatever it is that you like to listen to, do that. I don't see why. I don't understand why some people feel like, oh no, oh don't be listening to that type of music. Listen to it. Do what you want to do. How do I say this? There's times where I'll listen to music and literally I will be in the bathroom, like, y'all know me, so I like to just be in the mirror dancing. So I'll be like, throwing it back, getting my jams, doing what I gotta do. And God will literally call me. I'll be like, oh, Jesus, you calling me? Come in. It's never all worship music that I'm listening to. Sometimes I will be like in that music, like really enjoying my time, and God will still hear me. He will still call me. So the type of music doesn't always dictate whether you're heard by God. It doesn't. And that's a misconception, God loves music. Jesus loves music. Like, music was created for his people, not just, oh, I create the genre of Christian music for my people. He created music in its entirety for us, So of course you have to be, don't be listening to music where I punch a beat in her face, banana. You know what type of music to listen to. You know what's right. You have wisdom. When you need to just, okay, let me change this. When you need to change it, okay? But don't limit yourself. Music is so amazing. It's so vast. And man, it's just... And also, if you're looking to create music, if you're an artist and you want to create music, go ahead and create what genre that you want. You don't have to limit yourself to Christian music just because you are a Christian. Just make sure that you make music that inspires people, that impacts change, that brings about change, that means something. Let your music be a testament, a testimony, It doesn't matter what rhythm. Let it tell a story, okay? Because there's so many people out there on different platforms. There's so many different audiences. There's so many different types of people that need God, that need to be reached, And if you feel like you should be doing that through hip hop or through rock music, you do that and let them look at you and be like, oh, word? And she loved God and he loved God. Make people, you attract people. You carry a certain personality, so don't limit yourself. Don't limit the type of music that you want to create. Don't limit the type of music that you want to listen to. Just use wisdom when you're doing it. Music was created for you. Music was created for us. All music. Enjoy it. Okay. And then the next question says, I feel like I don't look like the average Christian. Should I change? No. What should the average Christian look like? My thing is, and let me be real with you. This is something that I used to experience too, in terms of there's just so much that I love to do, especially when tying into the last question with music. Music has always been a passion of mine. Dancing has always been a passion of mine. And even the way I dress, just who I am, that's just who I am. But then at the same time, I was like, God, I always want to make sure that I'm pleasing to you. Am I supposed to dress like this? Am I supposed to cover up? Am I supposed to, oh my God, my knees are showing, it used to actually be problematic for me, especially. And the thing is, the pressure was never coming from my parents. My parents never put that on me, especially since my parents are like pastors. They never put that type of pressure on me. They allowed me. I walked out of my house with my crop tops. I looked cute, of course. But of course, number one, there's a time and place. There's a time and place with how you dress. There's a time and place with how you behave. But God has called you to be uniquely you. He didn't call you to conform to another person's image, and that's something that he had to tell me. That's something that I really had to learn. God has made you uniquely you because you have an audience that you are supposed to pull in. You look like you, but also you look like a version of God. And you look like a version of God that is a God that inspires people, that pulls people in. The image that you project is supposed to be to a specific audience that you are supposed to minister to. So don't limit yourself and deny yourself of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do because you think that you're supposed to look a certain way beyond what you look like. Does that make sense? God is very intentional. He's very intentional with the creation of you. And the thing is, I had to sit down and ask God because I used to get, not necessarily anxiety, but I used to get worried. I said, God, what if people don't view me the right way? What if people don't see me the way you see me? Should I change that? I always want to make sure that I present you in the right way. So what did I start to do? I started changing the way I looked. I started trying to look more what I thought was put together. But you know what God told me? Like straight up, he came and visited me and he told me, he said, you're sinning. Sometimes what is a sin for other people may not necessarily be a sin for you. If you are living outside of your purpose and outside of who God has called you to be, then you're sinning. Sin is according to your purpose, according to what you're supposed to do. If you step outside of that, then it's a sin. It really is. So by you trying to make yourself look like other people instead of being who you're called to be, you could be actually derailing yourself and denying yourself of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to bless people, how you're supposed to reach people. Because there's a specific audience that you're supposed to reach by you being you, by you looking like you, And sometimes because there's a lot of religious things that have been adapted because of religious things instead of relationship with God. People focus on laws, certain rules. Oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. But the thing is, God doesn't care about those things. In fact, God is the one who told you to look the way that you look. He's purposeful in everything that you do, right down to the image that you look like. So don't feel guilty for being you because there's an audience out there that feels exactly like you do. That feels like they don't have anyone to relate to. That feels like they can't come into the Christian community because there's no one that looks like them. You're an example. You're an image of hope for them. So continue to be the best version of you. And continue to walk according to who you are. I'm happy that you don't look like the average Christian, okay? What used to work in the past might not necessarily be the thing that works now. And I remember specifically for me, God was telling me, he said, some people will look at you and they will be confused. They will scratch their heads and they'll be like, you don't necessarily look like a Christian. It's going to look like rebellion to them. But who cares if God is the one who told you to be you, gave you permission to be the fullness of you? Don't be so distracted by what other people think. Your image, who you are, you were called to raise heads and turn necks and for people to ask questions. It's okay. Because when they're asking questions, they're truly going to discover the love of God and the trueness of who God is. Just by you being you. You were not meant to be average. It's okay if you don't look like the average Christian. You look like you. You look like who God wants you to be. And that's the best and the most important thing that you can do. And sometimes your image is your talent. Use it. Don't abuse it. Use it. You know what I mean? Don't abuse it. Use it. And a side note, because I don't want you guys to misconstrue what I'm saying. Still be a great representative of God. The way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you look. Remember that when you're doing that, you're doing it in a representation of God. So what does your image say about how you represent God? Okay? And if once you're able to truly answer that, and you know that the answer is pleasing to God, then you're fine. You know, sometimes you're called to be different representatives of different mountains, of different places. You know, we're not all going to represent the same things. We're not all called to represent the same image of God. We're called to represent God, but God has different forms. There's different forms of God. There's different manifestations of God. What form of Him are you called to represent? And are you doing that? Are you representing the mountain that God has called you to represent? As soon as you have your answer, and you know that you are, and you know that the representation of who you are is pleasing in His sight, then it doesn't matter what the world says. Be who God called you to be. You're not average. It says, random fact about your family. Let's see. A random fact about my family. On my mom's side, my grandpa had 23 kids. So I have a whole bunch of aunts and uncles and cousins. This is why I love, if you hear me talk about family, I just love having a big family. Like, I don't know how not to have big families because of what I come from. Another fun fact, both sides of my family, I come from royal blood. My dad was actually supposed to take over the crown, or to be like a king. But the thing is, if it ain't repping Jesus, we ain't doing it. What they wanted him to worship and what they wanted him to represent was not of God. So my dad says, skr, we ain't doing that. There's a couple more interesting things about my family, but you know, we're gonna save that for another time. What is your weakness and your strength? You guys were really asking these questions. I think for weakness, I always choose to see the best possible version of people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes I have to remind myself to see people for where they are now. You know, I tend to live in the future in the sense that I see potential and I see where people can go and I see what they can do. So I already act as if they're there sometimes. So that is a weakness. What is your strength? My strength is love. That will always, that's just how I operate. I love to love on people. Loving on people just makes me feel strong. It makes me feel empowered. It gives me joy. It gives me energy. Like, I'm like, you're gonna receive this love. Like, I just love loving people. So that's my strength. Next question. Any health tips? Yes. Oh, celery juice. You guys, if you're not on that celery juice grind, get on it. I promise you, it is transformative. It's so good for your body. It's good for your skin. It has the ability to weed out any toxins in terms of potential viruses that may be in your system. Celery juice is just so good for you. So if I could give you a health tip today, start some celery juice. It's gonna bless you. You can only watch one genre of movies for the rest of your life. What would it be? Ooh. This is a good one. It would have to be action. It would have to be action. Especially since like my nature is automatically to just love on people 24/7. I need balance. I need balance. And I'm just too much of, I love too much Marvel, too much DC, too much of my Kung Fu movies, too much of my action stuff. I like watching stuff explode sometimes. So I definitely need some action to balance me out. Yeah, so I would have to say action movies. Final answer. So the next question says, giving to homeless people, sometimes I feel weird. Gave the other day and came home feeling really nauseous. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, try and get it. It's not everyone that you're supposed to give to. It's not everyone that you're supposed to give to. You're not supposed to give to everyone. So what you have to do is pray for discernment. Pray that God increases your discernment, because yes, we love to give. Loving to give, giving is a good thing, but sometimes you can give to the wrong people, you know, and sometimes money is not, if you feel like you're really led to give and you feel weird about giving money, you can buy them a meal. You can give water. If I'm being 100% honest, I know some of you guys are going to look at me like I'm crazy. I might sound crazy, but it's the truth. Witchcraft is a real thing. Curses is a real thing. There could be demons, real thing. All of these things are real. It's not just in movies. Where do you think these people draw inspiration from? They're drawing inspiration from real life, okay? So there's some people who can be waiting on the side of the street in order for you to give to them, and you're actually putting a curse on yourself, you know? And that's not to say, I don't want to scare you into not giving. Still give, but just be very cautious and trust your gut. If you feel like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to give this money, don't give it. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to bless them with a meal if you want to bless them, but don't risk it if you feel that thing, okay? But you're fine now. I'm not saying that to scare you. Honestly, whatever it was, it's already been destroyed. You're good. It's just moving forward. Be cautious. Be cautious with who you give to. What are you choosing, love or money? Come on. You already know the answer. I know you know it. I'm choosing love. Don't get me wrong. Hear me out. Okay, so you need money, of course, 100%. Whoever tells you that you don't need money in life, they're lying. They're lying out of their teeth. But if I had to make a decision between the two, I'm choosing love. And to be honest, I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but money is just a symptom of wealth. It is not wealth in itself. It's just a symptom of wealth. Some people, woe to those who are so poor that all they have is money. You know, I feel like with love, there's so many things that you can get. There's so many things that you can do. And of course, money answereth all things. But if I have to choose between the two, at the end of the day, I'm just choosing love. That's what it is. Yeah. Prayer request. Scared. Have to go to the doctor to see if this thing is cancerous. It's not cancer. So go there and get the checkup and all will be fine. All is well already. Okay? I want you to breathe and just begin to just praise God. All is well. All is well. That's all I have to say. All is well. Side note, if you have any follow-up questions with any of these answers, I wasn't able to keep the names of the people who asked the questions, but just DM me the question that you asked and let's talk. Just let me know. What's your favorite dessert? Anything chocolatey. I love chocolate. So I would say like brownies, like the gooey brownies, or like pazookies that are fresh out of the oven. Um, yeah, that's it. That's my sweet tooth. Are you a lover or a fighter? I'm both. It's so funny because every time I get asked this question, like, it's just an enigma for me because I'm really both. Like, in all reality, I'm both. I can't choose. Of course, I'm a lover, but the fight in me, guys, don't be fooled by this soft image that I present. You know, I am very compassionate, but don't you know I will knock and buck for the people that I love. Now I do it like, not necessarily, not physically, but I like to defend those that I love. I will defend those that I love, and you will know. So both. I refuse to choose one. I can't. What's one thing that you've learned this year? A couple of things. Number one, all is not as it seems. And that's manifested itself in the good way and a bad way. There's been a lot of revelation of different things, a lot of things that have taken place in the world in terms of our leaders, in terms of entertainment, people in the entertainment industry, a lot of people being exposed, and a lot of things that we thought were bad that are actually good, a lot of things that we thought were good that are actually bad. All is not as it seems. That's one thing that I learned. The next thing that I learned, there's power in your mindset. There's power in what you choose to believe. There's power in what you meditate on. There's power in what you let into your mind. If that's another takeaway. There's so much power in the mind, and literally you can dictate and affect the outcome with the words that you speak and the things that you choose to see and the things that you choose to believe. I don't know, the way God explained it to me, and I'm talking about God a lot because he's gotten me through some stuff this year, okay? What you choose to see is what you will birth, okay? So choose to see the good, and that's what will come out of you. Choose to see life, and life will be your experience, okay? There's so much power there. Another thing that I learned this year, and I feel that it's true for everyone that's watching this, is what you're capable of, or what you can actually carry. You know, sometimes, let me tell you, there's so many things that we experienced this year, from the pandemic to the riots, to the major deaths that took place in the world. But what it taught us, what all of this taught us, what we are capable of handling, what we are capable of experiencing, your capacity to hold it. You know, you've been stretched in such a big way, but the thing is, because you've been stretched in that way, you can now contain more. I think it's the ability and the understanding of what we're actually capable, the lengths of being stretched that we're actually capable of, is one thing that I've learned this year. We are strong, okay? We're so much stronger than we thought that we could be. You know, just because you cried, just because you mourned, just because your emotions got in the way of certain events and certain things does not speak against the fact that you are strong. It doesn't speak against the fact that you made it through. You're making it through. You've resisted the trials and the tribulations. You've come across them. You've conquered them. It's literally September. It's about to be September. I don't know when I'm posting this, but it's about to be September, which means that you're entering into the last 3 months of the year. Think about everything that actually went down this year. You've experienced so much. You have. And you've grown. And you're able to carry more. You're able to hold weight. Spiritual weight. Emotional weight. You're able to hold more. So that's one thing that I said more than one. But those are a couple things that this year taught me. So the next question says, my prayers aren't working anymore. What am I doing wrong? Don't speak against your prayers. we could pray for something and you really put your back into these prayers, but then in the same breath we can actually turn around and speak against it. You could pray and be like, in the name of Jesus Christ, I want to see this happen in my life. I want money to come here. I want to experience this. But then after, when you talk to people, you're like, I don't really see money coming right now. I don't know. I don't know if this is actually going to take place. Be very mindful of not speaking against your prayers, because your words have power. Your words have power. So the same things that you could be praying for, you could actually be undoing that prayer by speaking negatively about your current situation. So don't speak against your prayers. Be very positive and be very mindful of what you say. Be very mindful of what you speak, okay? And don't be so distracted by what you see in front of you. Sometimes we can dwell on something so much that thing, just like I said earlier, in terms of what you see is what you give birth to. Sometimes when you're praying, you could be praying one thing, but you could be meditating on another thing. And because it's not lining up, you're not seeing that activated in your life. You're not seeing that prayer really coming into fruition in your life. So be careful about what you speak and how you speak. Don't speak against your prayers. Don't speak against what you want to see happen in your life. And be careful about what you dwell on, what you're meditating on, what you're allowing yourself to think. Think the highest thoughts. And it's easier said than done. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to be, especially in this season, you need to be very mindful of how you think. Be very mindful of what you say, okay? Especially because of who you are. You know who you are. You know who you are, and you know what you're capable of, and you know that when, for you, usually it's like you could speak to a person and be like, oh, easy, this is gonna happen, that you can do this and you can do that, and you see it happen, and then you're like, word, can you believe that happened? It's the same thing in your life, but just make sure that you bring that same energy, that same positive energy over to your life, so that when you're praying and you speak life. When you speak life, you will see it actually happen. Okay? What's your favorite sound? Laughter. Are you an early bird or a night owl? A night owl for sure. I'm a night owl so hard to a point where I'm almost an early bird. I don't know why. It's always been like this. I probably stay up till maybe 3-4 a.m. Okay, so hear me out, because I know I'm always telling you guys to rest. Rest is very important, okay? Don't copy my sleep habits, because my thing is, even though I'm not necessarily sleeping all the time, I find times to rest. It's about balance. So yeah, but I'm a night owl. I don't know. I feel like I'm more productive at night. Sometimes I have so much energy during the day, and my mind is just doing so much by the time it hits nighttime. No, at night, my mind is still active. But it's lit during the night. I don't know. Night owl. What's your favorite Bible scripture? Psalms 23. I love Psalms 23. I feel like this year has made me forget how to be happy on some real ish. I understand that. I understand. So much has happened this year. So much has happened this year. But it's hard, but you have to remind yourself of what made you happy. Remind yourself of what made you motivated to live and motivated to thrive. Remind yourself of the things that make you want to live. You have to focus all your energy and all your attention on the things that have made an impact in your life in the best way. And reminisce. Go back to the moments of nostalgia where you've had good moments. Sometimes you have to just talk about the good experiences that you've had, you know. I don't know, have you ever noticed that when you're talking about moments like, man, and this happened, and we used to do this, man, it was always a ball when we did this. You have this joy. There's this happiness that comes to you when you're talking about moments and experiences and memories in life that made you happy and made you joyful. I want you to be intentional and go back and think about all the amazing things and all the joyous experiences that you've had. And then when you're done with that, don't think about the negative. Think about all the joyous things that you want to experience in life. Think about all the amazing things that you want to come to pass. You're going from joy to joy. You're looking at the past joy, but now you're looking at past joy, and then you bring future joy into the picture. And that will help sustain you now, because how you focus, what you choose to focus on in the present moment will dictate your experience and dictate your emotions and dictate how you feel. So remember all the happy moments that you've had in the past and think about all the happy things that you want to see come to pass, okay? Don't think about the sad things that are going on in your life now. I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot, I know, with a lot of these points, but really, this season, it's a time where we have to really be mindful of what we're thinking, okay? Think about happy things. Only let happy things into your midst. And sometimes you have to cut off social media. Sometimes you have to cut down the news. Sometimes you need to take a break from those things to rediscover how to make yourself happy, okay? Because there's so much negativity going on social platforms. Yes, there's some positive, but if you're only focusing and highlighting the negative, it's going to be hard to see the positive within those things. So take a break. Take a break and regather and focus on all the things that used to make you happy. And focus on all the things that make you happy now. And focus on all the things that you want to see come to pass in your life. And act like it is here. Plan like it's going to happen. And know that as you're planning that something is actually going to take place. You know, we have to be very intentional with where we put our thoughts. And that will dictate and it will retrain your mind into seeing happy moments, into seeing happy times, into knowing that happy times are possible for you. It is possible for you. Joy is possible for you. And I decree and declare that joy and peace and happiness will be your portion and is your portion. Okay? So focus on those things. Meditate on those things. Be intentional about those things. And cut off the social media. That's a big thing for you. Cut off the social media. Take a break. It's okay to take a break. Take a break. I wish I didn't look like me. What? Do you know how beautiful you are? Do you know how much time God took to create you? He created you with his hands. Do you know that you are his version of perfection? You know what? I want you to do this right now. I want you to pause this for a second and go get a mirror. Go stand in front of a mirror, okay? I'll wait. Are you in front of a mirror? No? Okay, I'll wait. How about now? Okay, look at yourself in the mirror. Delicious! I want you to remember me saying that every time you look in the mirror, because you are a delicious creation from God. You are beautiful. You are extravagant. And you are completely you. You are holy and wonderfully made, okay? You need to look in the mirror and know that you are the most beautiful person in the room. That's the energy I want you to have. And even if you don't believe it yet, keep speaking that thing until you believe it. Keep training your mind. I want you to write down affirmations. I want you to write down positive things about yourself. Speak about your beauty. Speak about your image. Speak about the things that you don't like about yourself, but write the positive things about that. And I want you to recite it in the morning. Recite it when you're eating. Recite it at night. Recite it when you're using the bathroom. Recite it when you're in the shower. Recite it every single moment of the day until you believe it, because God makes no mistakes. You are so beautifully and wonderfully made. And I never want to hear you talk like that. Never. You're gorgeous. You are awesome. Do you know, like, sometimes we focus so much on the thorns that we see in ourselves that we forget that we are a rose. You are a rose. You're a rose. If you were rice, you'd be jollof. If you were dessert, you'd be chocolate. If you were a song, you would be the melody that's stuck in everyone's head. If we were in an amusement park, you'd be the main attraction. That is how beautiful you are. And there's no one that looks like you. I'm happy that you look like you. We need someone that looks like you. You are unique. And that's even more reason why you should love yourself. And I pray that you see the beauty in you that everyone else sees. And the beauty in you that God sees in you. I pray that you see it for yourself. So write those affirmations and recite it every single day. And that goes for anyone out there who thinks that they don't live up to the image, or they wish that they didn't look at themselves. I want you guys to really be intentional. Write down affirmations and start reciting them daily, in the morning and in the night. Retrain your mind. Because there's no one like you. There's no one that could ever fit the image that you do. And that speaks to the rare jewel that you are. You are a rare jewel. Beautiful. Okay, so the next question says, how do you know when you're truly in love with someone? Okay, you guys are really asking these hard-hitting questions, because this is like a mouthful, because my thing is, you can't... Love looks different for everyone. Being in love with someone looks different for everyone. And it looks different during different times. Being in love when you're 15 might look different from how it looks like to be in love when you're 30. How it looks like to be in love when you're 40. I'll give you guys some signs that you might be in love. Number one, you probably can't stop thinking about the person. You're really concerned. So it's like you're concerned. Are they getting enough food? Are they eating? Are they sleeping? You're just concerned about their everyday life and like the things that take place in their life, even if it's not big. Whatever it is, you're concerned about because it has to do with them. Number two, their happiness is a priority. So you get to a point where you could sacrifice for the person. You don't mind. You get to a point where even if it doesn't feel good on your end, you're like, you know what, as long as they're happy, as long as they're good, as long as all is well in their life, I'll be okay. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, but I'll be okay. That's not to say that that you shouldn't take into consideration your happiness. Your happiness is important, but I'm talking about on the individual's end, on one individual's end. If you get to a point where you just want to give, you just want to give, you just want to aid in any way possible, that's a sign that you can be in love. Of course, good love is when you give and receive, okay? When you're in a good relationship, you give and you receive. But the thing is, when you're in love, you're not focused on the receiving. You're just focused on the giving. Another sign is that you want them to be their best in every single capacity, in every single way. You just want them to be their best versions of themselves. So whether you have to step on a few toes, whether you have to say a few statements and you know they're not going to like it, you don't care if they're mad at you in the moment, because at the very end of the day that you're saying the things to make them better or to help them. You know, another sign, you know you're in love when it becomes... when they become family in your eyes, in the sense where if it's just a random person, if they make you upset, you out the door. you gone. That's it. But you know how with family, it's like they make you upset. You're like, oh, I can't believe you did that. But then you're like, come eat, or let me help you with this. You know, like you're upset with them, but you know that you, at the end of the day, that love is still there. You still care for them on a deeper level. At the end of the day, that's the person you want to talk to. At the end of the day, that's the person that you know will be there. You might know that you're in love when it transitions from being a romantic type of love into a familial sense of love, where you want to be a protector, a guarder of everything that matters to them. And you know you're in love when it's more than just physicality. It's more than just how they look. It's more than their things, okay? It's more than what they have to offer, but it's the person themselves. You care about the person themselves. Yeah, so those are just a couple signs. If you checklist pretty much all of those, then you might be in love. It's a possibility. What's your favorite candy? Almond Joys, okay? The chocolate with the nuts and the coconut. Okay, that's always been my favorite candy. I don't know why. I've loved it like ever since I was little. Like my taste buds were a little grown. But yeah, anything with chocolate and nuts in it. Yum. I know quarantine sucks. What would have been your ideal summer night? Ooh, I like this question. Okay, so my ideal summer night. Okay, my ideal summer night would be this. Number one, I love hot weather. I just, born and raised in Vegas. Parents are from Africa. What do you expect? So I would have to say a hot summer night. Clear skies where you can just stare at the stars. But I love Christmas lights. But because my friends, I used to go to a lot of backyard parties, like quinceañera parties, and those lights that are a little bit thicker than Christmas lights. I love those lights. So I think I would have that set up where you're just laying out and then good music playing and no worries or concern, just people, good music, and laying down and staring at the lights and just pondering about life and thinking about all the possibilities and all the things, just deep conversation. I think that's my ideal summer night, where it's no worries, but you just have time to sit back and look at the stars and stare at the trees and take in the warm breeze and look at Christmas lights and talk. Yeah, that would have been my ideal summer night. I mean, I could probably still do that, to be honest, because you don't need that many people. But quarantine is actually blessing me, to be honest. It's no different than what I usually do. Next question. What does God sound like? That's a good question. To be honest, God will always sound like someone you're familiar with. I remember the first time God spoke to me. First, it was interesting because sometimes there's different ways to hear God. Sometimes you perceive him and you hear him within your spirit, and sometimes you hear an audible voice. So when God was transitioning into speaking to me audibly, like when I was hearing him first, I was hearing him within my spirit. And I remember because that night I was just praying for something that I needed to pray for. And as I was praying, I was like, yeah, in the name of Jesus Christ. And then he gave me a scripture and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to the scripture. It's going to tie into everything I'm praying. But it had nothing to do with what I was praying for, okay? It was talking about how Samuel kept hearing Eli's voice. And I was like, God, this scripture has nothing to do about what I'm praying about. So I didn't even read the chapter. I didn't read it. I closed it out and I just went back into praying about what I wanted to pray about. Later that night, I think it was 3 a.m, I heard a voice go, Rebecca. And it sounded just like my dad. And I turned around. I was like, Daddy? I was like, wait, my dad isn't here. And I went back to sleep. But it sounded like, it's interesting because it sounded like my dad's voice, but it also sounded like a combination of my older sister's voice. So then I heard the voice, I went back to sleep, and then I heard the voice again, Rebecca. And then I turned around because I was sleeping next to my sister at this point. I was like, Jessica, you calling me? And she's like, no, I'm not calling you. I said, then who calling me? Because it sounds just like you. But then she was like, just go back to sleep. I'm not calling you. I went back to sleep. And then I heard the voice again, Rebecca. And I said, okay, so I know my father isn't here. Daddy isn't here. So Jessica, it must be you. Wake that A up. Are you calling me? And she's like, no, I'm not calling you. And so I was like, what's happening? So I remember calling my dad all the way from Nigeria, and I'm like, Daddy, I keep hearing a voice that sounds like you, but it's not you. And my dad was like, oh, baby, that's just God trying to talk to you. And I was like, oh, my bad, because I was ready to call down thunder and lightning. I'm like, so that's what we doing now? We dealing with false voices? People trying to sound, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you think it's a ghost, you don't know. But I went back and I was like, Lord Jesus, forgive me. But yeah, that was the first time I actually heard God's voice audibly. It sounded like my dad. But now like years later, it still sounds like my dad's voice sometimes. When God is coming to speak to me as a father, when he's coming to give me instruction, it sounds like my dad's voice. When God is coming to talk to me about something that requires wisdom, he sounds like my mom. That requires wisdom and nurture. When God is speaking to me about things that I'm about to learn, or things that I need to prepare, kind of like going into teaching mode, he sounds like my older sister. God sounds like people that you're familiar with, you know, and it's because he doesn't want to scare you. God isn't about to be like, wake up, my name is God. Like, he's not about to scare you like that. That's not him. If he knows you're gonna be shook, he's not gonna do that to you. He will always sound like someone that you're familiar with, okay? But even so, you still need, you know when it's God. You do need discernment. You need discernment if you're not there yet. But you will know when it's God speaking to you. He will always come in a voice that soothes you, in a voice that you'll be able to identify with. God sounds like many different people. Do you play any instruments? No, I don't. I actually have a keyboard in my room. I love, I don't know why, the sound of like piano or like the keyboard, it suits me. So I like to just play around with the keys until I find a melody to sing with, and I like to just create my own music that way. But I'm no professional. Not at all. So I wouldn't really classify that as playing any instruments. Maybe messing around with instruments, which would be the piano, but that's about it. What's your workout regimen? What do you like to do? I love kickboxing. That's, my God, I think kickboxing is just a good way to release. So kickboxing, and then dancing. I love to dance. I love dancing, and I consider that a workout. The way I be going in is a workout. And just walking, to be honest. I love to walk to clear my mind. Sometimes though, like, I could just let my mind go, and I'll just end up walking like 2-3 miles. I'm like, hold that, which is actually not that bad, and it's not that much. But yeah, that's all I'm really doing right now in terms of workout routines. Yeah. How come I can't see angels when I pray? Okay. Sorry, I got the chills. For this question, I'm going to be really specific to the person that asked. Don't make that your focus. Sometimes if you make that your focus, you can miss out. Your focus should be on God. It's not a bad thing to desire to want to see angels. It's not. But don't make that your focus of prayer. Don't make an atmosphere that's conducive. If your focus is to create an atmosphere that's conducive for angels, instead of making an atmosphere where you're truly praying and loving God in the fullness of who he is, and you're worshiping and you're praising God because you want to encounter God, then you're not going to see angels, because angels don't really like show up like that if it's not about God, because then the worship becomes angel worship in a sense. You want to be very careful about that. So I would say redirect your focus, okay? Because there's times where I'll pray. I'll be praying and I'll be worshiping God, and I'll open my eyes and the whole room will be thick, like with fog, like with smoke, to a point where like if my siblings, if someone walks in, they'll be like, Becky, what's up? Like you could see it like physically. But then also like I'll open my eyes and I'll be like, dang, like where do these angels pop up from? Like it'll be angels all over the room. It's because they're attracted to true praise. They're attracted to true worship. They're attracted to true adoration of God. Sometimes there's a way that you can do it so genuinely that they have to stop by and see. They're like, who dat? We gotta see this. And they will be in there like swimwear. So you have to get to a place where your praise and your worship and your prayers are authentic and it's genuine to God. Let God be your focus. For now, take angels out of the equation and go back to the heart of worship where it's all about God. And eventually, when it's time, you will see them. So that answer is specific to the person that asked this question. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna have to do another part to this because y'all, I have like 25 questions left, but I want to make sure that I get everyone's questions in. So I'm just gonna do a part 1 and a part 2 to this specific Q&A. So let's see, I might post it next week, or we'll see how I do it. Just be on the lookout, okay? So we're just gonna do 2 more, then I'll answer the rest on the second part, yeah? The next one says, prayer for sleep. I think something is wrong. Nothing's wrong. Nothing is wrong that requires prayer. Let's say it like that. What I do recommend, I don't know if you're big on energy drinks and caffeine, limit the amount of caffeine that you're taking in. So like diet sodas, Red Bulls, don't be drinking as much. And also change the type of music that you listen to before you go to sleep. So if you're listening to like sad songs or like songs that aren't uplifting, change it to worship music, or don't necessarily listen to music at night. Make sure that you allow yourself to breathe and have rest, as well as that's what's really affecting you, to be honest. It's just those 2 things. It's the what you're drinking, what you're intaking in terms of caffeine, and also the music that you're listening to at night. So change those 2 things, and you're great. You don't even need, there's nothing wrong in terms of prayer. There's nothing wrong. You're good. And then last question. What do you think September will look like? To be honest, I think September... I feel like September is going to be a little sad in the world. I mean, I feel like there was a calm in terms of like Black Lives Matters issues, but I feel like for some reason, I just feel it that it's going to start to rise again a little bit during this time. But I also think September is going to be an amazing time for people to truly focus on themselves. I feel like it's going to be a time for people to refocus on what they think is important to them, a time to refocus their energy on themselves, to practice self-love. I think it'll be a time to explore desires that you may have and endeavors. So be very strategic and be very intentional in this time, because as you're doing that, I truly believe that you will be successful in ways that you didn't know that you can be successful. And as long as you have the application, you apply the knowledge and the wisdom, and also you're consistent in what you want to see, I feel like there's going to be a dynamic shift and change when it comes to that. I feel like September is going to be a time where a lot of people are going to want to dial back from social media a little bit because of what happens in the world. So don't feel like you need to stay on social media. If you need to peel back, peel back. But overall, I feel like the theme for people's personal lives for September is going to be rediscovery and enlightenment. So, yeah, that's what I feel like September is. I feel like this video is pretty thick. But I truly enjoyed this. And if I didn't get to your questions, I promise you I will get it in the next video. I love you guys all. I pray that you have an amazing September, start to September. And you guys are amazing. And you know this. I love you. I love you a lot. If you ever need love, just call me or DM me or message me. I'm always here to pour out on people, okay? I feel like this video was really chill in my vibe. I wasn't really fiery. I wasn't really like, I feel like I was just really calm. So, yeah. We'll see how the next one goes. Thank you for watching. If y'all watch this whole thing, y'all real ones, and I appreciate you. And I hope you're entertained by this. And I hope you have a blessed night. I hope you have a blessed day. And I hope you laugh. Laugh a lot. Watch things that make you laugh, okay? And I will see you for part 2. We won't be gone for too long, okay? Love you guys. Have a good night.